Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation where someone slowly makes another person doubt their own memory, perception, or judgment. It often begins with small denials like claiming something never happened or saying the other person is remembering it wrong. Over time, the manipulator repeats this pattern until the victim starts questioning their own reality. The term comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is losing her mind. What makes gaslighting powerful is that it erodes a person's confidence in their own thoughts, making them easier to control. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping happens when someone uses feelings of guilt to pressure another person into doing what they want. Instead of making a direct request, the manipulator suggests that refusing would make the other person selfish or uncaring. Phrases like, "after everything I've done for you," or "I guess you don't care about me," are common examples. This tactic works because most people naturally want to avoid hurting others. Over time, repeated guilt trips can make someone feel responsible for emotions that are not actually their fault. Love bombing. Love bombing is when someone overwhelms another person with intense affection, praise, or attention in order to gain influence over them. At first, it can feel exciting and flattering, especially in romantic relationships. The manipulator may give constant compliments, gifts, or promises about the future. However, this attention is often used to quickly create emotional dependency. Once the bond is strong, the behavior may suddenly change, leaving the other person confused and eager to regain the earlier affection. Silent treatment. The silent treatment is a manipulation tactic where someone intentionally ignores another person to punish or control them. Instead of discussing a conflict, the manipulator withdraws communication entirely. This can last for hours, days, or even longer. Humans rely heavily on social connection, so being deliberately ignored can create anxiety and self-doubt. The silence often pressures the other person to apologize or give in just to restore communication, even if they did nothing wrong. Blame shifting. Blame shifting occurs when someone avoids responsibility by placing the fault on someone else. When confronted with a mistake, the manipulator redirects attention toward the other person's behavior instead. For example, they might say the problem only happened because someone else reacted poorly or misunderstood them. Over time, this pattern makes it difficult to hold the manipulator accountable. It also causes the other person to constantly question whether they are the real cause of the problem. Playing the victim. Playing the victim involves presenting oneself as the injured party in order to gain sympathy and avoid criticism. Even when responsible for a situation, the manipulator focuses on how unfairly they are being treated. They may exaggerate hardships or describe themselves as constantly misunderstood. This approach shifts the emotional focus away from their actions and toward their suffering. As a result, others may feel guilty for questioning them and stop raising concerns. Triangulation. Triangulation happens when a manipulator brings a third person into a conflict to strengthen their position. Instead of resolving an issue directly, they might compare one person to another or claim that others agree with them. This can create rivalry, jealousy, or insecurity between people who were not originally in conflict. The manipulator gains influence by controlling information between the different sides. In many cases, each person involved hears a slightly different version of the story. Moving the goalposts. Moving the goalposts is when someone changes expectations after the other person has already met them. At first, the requirement may seem clear and achievable, but once it is fulfilled, the manipulator adds new conditions or raises the standard. This creates a situation where approval or success is always just out of reach. Over time, the person trying to satisfy these expectations may feel exhausted and inadequate, constantly chasing standards that keep shifting. Projection. Projection is a psychological defense in which someone attributes their own thoughts, motives, or behaviors to another person. A manipulator who is dishonest may accuse others of lying, or someone acting unfairly may claim that others are treating them badly. By projecting their own behavior outward, they avoid confronting it within themselves. This tactic also confuses the situation because attention moves away from the manipulator's actions and toward defending against the accusation. Emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail occurs when someone uses fear, obligation, or guilt to force another person into compliance. The manipulator may threaten consequences such as ending a relationship, withdrawing affection, or causing hurt.